The third spiral started to glow, and the human child heard the voices. 2 snow fell in slow spirals that night, curling through the ruined cabin roof like white smoke from a dying fire. The 3 baby Bigfoot slept against my chest, warm, tiny breaths, paws twitching from dreams they'd never forget. The father and mother rested nearby, battered and quiet, guarding the doorway with tired amber eyes. But she didn't sleep. The human girl, bare feet on frozen wood, hair tangled with snow crystals, eyes glowing faint amber reflecting the mountain like a mirror. She stood at the threshold, staring toward the ridge where the second spiral had faded into darkness. And then she spoke, voice soft, layered with something older. "They're calling again." My blood froze. The pup's whimpered eyes, snapping open ears, flicking at the empty doorway. The father growled low warning. The mother pulled the pups close. But the girl only took 1 step forward, snow crunching softly under her heel. Outside, the forest answered with a whisper, not wind, hurrum. The same heartbeat as the sleeper, but higher, closer, something new. I reached out, grabbing her wrist gently. "Hey, stay close to the fire." She didn't look at me. Her pupils expanded until amber swallowed the whites. "They're waking the others," she whispered. "The others." I swallowed hard. The forest held its breath. Even the flames crackled softer, like they feared being loud. Then outside, snow shifted. Step, step, step. Tiny footprints walked across the clearing without bodies attached. Impressions pressing into snow, moving toward the cabin. The father rose, fur-bristling teeth bared. The mother growled, shoving pups behind her. I backed toward the fire shovel, raised breath fogging thick. The girl tilted her head, listening to something only she could hear. "They're scared," she murmured. "They don't want to wake alone." One of the invisible footprints paused at our door. A thin line of frost spiraled inward across the floorboards. The third spiral, alive, growing. It pulsed once. Broom! The cabin rattled. My lantern flickered violently. The girl's voice dropped to a whisper made of winter. "They're not coming for the mountain." She slowly turned her glowing eyes toward me. "They're coming for the children." All 3 pups screamed at once, and the cabin door blew open like breath from a colossal mouth. Part 1. Echoes under snow. The cabin door slammed against the wall, wind blasting inside like a swallowed scream. Snow spiraled through the doorway, tight controlled, not wild, like something was guiding the storm. The 3 baby Bigfoot clung to each other, fur-bristling tiny claws digging into wood. Their eyes pulsed amber, matching the swirling frost on the floor. The human girl stepped forward, toes touching the spiral of ice forming underfoot. Her pupils shrank, then widened, then shrank again, heartbeats sinking to a rhythm underground. Outside, the invisible footprints froze mid-step. They weren't advancing anymore. They were waiting. The father Bigfoot pushed past me, chest swelling, shoulders wide. His roar shook snow from the ceiling beams, low, thunderous, ancient. Scar. The footprints trembled. Snow deepened around them as if burying something beneath. I grabbed my lantern and shoved it toward the open door. The flame leaned forward, sucked toward the clearing. Something out there was breathing in everything warm. The girl's voice layered with frost. "They're afraid of the cold." I blinked. "The cold is doing this." She shook her head slowly. "No, something beneath it." The mother Bigfoot nudged the pups toward the fire, curling her massive body to shield them. Her amber eyes darted left-right, tracking movements I couldn't see. One of the invisible footprints deepened, pressed down harder as if weight dropped onto it. A child's giggle echoed in the clearing. A cold one. My spine locked. More footprints appeared, rapid, rushing from between trees circling the cabin. Tiny. Dozens. They ran in spirals, carving patterns into the snow. The second spiral on the ridge had awakened something, but the third was different. This wasn't a door. This was an anthem. The girl's breath fogged into amber symbols. They're singing. Outside, the shadows between trees tightened like pupils, narrowing. The timberline bent inward toward the cabin. Bark crackled, wood strained. I whispered to the father, voice shaking, "We have to move them. Now." The father bristled, shaking his head. Too much risk outside. But the floorboards under my boots trembled. Not from weight, from vibration. The third spiral under the cabin was growing. Faint grooves etched themselves across the boards, tracing the same pattern we saw on the ridge. I knelt, lantern light shaking in my hand. 3 grooves at the center. Small. Perfect size for... No, I breathed. For 3 tiny paws. The forest wasn't after us. It was after them. The human girl inhaled sharply, eyes snapping wide. Something just heard their fear. The cabin walls creaked. A sound like fingernails scraping from outside. No many nails. The mother moved to the window. Fur on her spine lifted like a warning flag. Outside, children. Pale frost-glazed skin. Eyes amber like dying embers. Bare feet leaving glowing footprints. Forest orphans, but not alive. They stared with hollow smiles, teeth rimmed with frost. Breath rising in amber mist. One lifted a hand and traced a spiral in fogged air. The pups screamed, paws covering ears, glow flaring. The girl backed away, voice barely audible. They woke the lost litter. The father slammed his fists against the doorway, roaring to scare them back. The pale children didn't flinch. Instead, they smiled wider. Snow around them spiraled inward, forming a bigger pattern. The spiral on the floor brightened in perfect sync. The children spoke as one, voices layered 3 hearts. One chorus. We opened the cold. The floor cracked under my boots. Amber light shot upward. The third door wasn't beneath the mountains. It was beneath us. I grabbed the pups, dragging them away from the glowing grooves. The human girl pressed both hands to her ears, crying. They're singing in my mind. The pale children stepped forward. Their footprints left steam on snow. Their eyes locked on the pups, and the spiral burned brighter. Part 2. The Lost Litter. The pale children encircled the cabin, eyes glowing with the same amber of the second spiral, except theirs had no warmth. Only echoes. Their smiles didn't reach the eyes, and their feet hovered just above the snow toes, grazing frost lightly, never committing to weight. Like memory. Like ghosts. The father Bigfoot roared again, terrifying, thunderous, but the lost litter didn't blink. Instead, they all turned their heads at the same time, slow, perfect synchronization. Necks cracking. My stomach twisted. They raised tiny hands and pressed their palms together, thumbs forming a spiral. Snow erupted upward in a circle around the cabin, a halo of white flame. The mother Bigfoot scooped the pups against her chest, shielding them with thick fur. Their combined glow pulsed, violently triangle pattern again. The floor spiral answered. Cracks snaked outward like spider webs. The human girl clutched her head, voice splitting. They're not alive. They're held. Held by what I shouted. She trembled. By the cold that speaks. The cabin roof groaned. Rafters bent, boards splintering. A thin layer of frost spread across windows, etching spiral grooves across glass. One pale child stepped forward. Its voice was layered, young yet older beneath. We were the first. My breath stuttered. The mother Bigfoot snarled claws, carving grooves into the doorway. The child blinked, eyes glowing with amber sorrow. We opened the first spiral. We lit the second. We sang the third. It pointed at the pups. They will open the rest. The father Bigfoot slammed his fist into the floor, cracking frost. No. The pale children turned their empty eyes toward him. You locked away your own kind. The ridge trembled. Amber fog bled from the second spiral's direction, drifting toward the cabin like sleepy breath. The girl whispered through shaking teeth. They're angry at the Bigfoot for sealing their elders. The father lowered his gaze, shame pooling in his eyes. The lost litter stepped closer. We starved in the cold. Our fear fed the sleeper, and our voices carved the first door. They reached toward the pups. The pups' glow flared again, terrified. The floor spiral-aligned lines, twisting grooves expanding. The girl gasped and fell to her knees, voice shaking. They're using fear resonance. Fear isn't just an emotion tonight. It's a key. The lost litter lifted their heads. Their voices braided one chorus. Too many throats, too few lungs, let the cold speak. Let the door breathe. Let the old ones wake. Amber snow trickled from the ceiling, shimmering like dust from broken sunlight. The spiral on the floor rotated one notch. Only two left. The father Bigfoot bolted forward, massive hands slamming down, blocking their reach. Frost erupted around his fists, freezing fur instantly. He roared in agony, but didn't move. The lost litter whispered softly, "Cold remembers." The mother collapsed to her knees. Not from pain, from memory. Images cracked across her eyes, nightmares older than mountains. She had been a child when the first spiral lit. The lost litter stepped closer, pale feet hovering just above floorboards. Their breath washed over us, amber frost spreading from mouths, chilling bone. One whispered in my ear, voice cold enough to numb marrow. "Fear opens doors, and you are afraid." Something deep inside me shook, but another voice answered that fear. Luna. The first pup pressed a glowing paw against my chest. Her heartbeat reverberated like a war drum. The lost litter recoiled slightly, teeth clicking. The girl's voice cracked. "They can feel courage, too." The second child hissed, "Courage is a lock." The third child whispered, "Break it." Floorboards cracked louder. The spiral rotated again. Only one notch left. If it turned, the mountain wouldn't wake one sleeper. It would wake them all. Part 3. Courage is a lock. The floor groaned beneath us, as if ribs of the earth were shifting under skin. Amber light pulsed from the spiral, no longer inviting but commanding. The lost litter drifted closer. I stepped forward, shovel raised. My breath fogged into amber rings. The pups pressed behind me, paws trembling, breath syncing with mine. The pale children whispered in unison, "Fear unseals. Courage locks. So we break the lock first." They extended their small hands. A hush fell. Then SSHAKKK. Cold hit me like a falling glacier. My knees buckled. Not temperature. Memory. I saw my cabin burning. Snow swallowing trails I couldn't follow. Someone crying behind trees. The lost litter weren't just showing pain. They were feeding it. My fear spiked. Amber veins etched up my arms. The spiral rotated a fraction. The father Bigfoot slammed his fist into the floor again, blocking resonance. Cracks spidered out but held. He roared a guttural tier of sound. "Row!" The lost litter flinched, hands shaking. Courage is a lock. Their fear-feeding magic recoiled. They hissed, teeth sharpening like ice shards. "Then we will take your courage." Amber fog gushed from the spiral, wrapping around the father's legs. His posture slumped, chest heaving. His courage drained. The pups squealed, glow faltering. The spiral rotated another notch. Only half of the final turn remained. I lunged, slamming the shovel's flat end into the fog stream. Metal sang. Sparks of amber scattered. The lost litter shrieked, sound splitting the air. The girl staggered to her feet, clutching her head. Their song is older than language. Her eyes flashed amber white. A second spiral shimmered across her irises. She screamed, not in pain, in knowledge. The first spiral opens the sleeper. The second spiral frees the elders. The third spiral, she choked pupils shrinking to pinpricks, awakens the choir, my blood iced. A sleeper was bad enough. A choir that would be voices everywhere, echoes through bone, fear weaponized. The lost litter reached toward the pups again. The pups pressed their paws to my chest, 3 points of heat. My own fear faded, pulse stabilizing. The spiral faltered, freezing in place. The pale children snarled, breath steaming amber. Faith is worse than courage. It locks twice. One child pointed toward the mother Bigfoot. "Break hers." They pressed tiny palms outward. Amber fog surged like a whip and struck the mother. Her eyes flashed wide, memories rifling behind them like pages in a hurricane. Snow caves collapsing. Lost siblings. A child's cry fading under ice. A sleeper's roar smothered by cold. Her courage snapped. Amber tears rolled down fur. The spiral rotated another quarter, almost complete. I slammed myself between the fog and the pup's shovel sparking as it cut through amber strands. The lost litter staggered again, faces cracking like frost-splitting stone. The girl's voice steadied barely. "You're using courage wrong." She pressed both hands to the spiral. Her skin steaming amber cracks wrapped her arms, but the rotation halted. She screamed, teeth clenched, eyes glowing bright enough to hurt. The lost litter trembled, faces fracturing. Their bodies flickered between frost and flesh. The spiral strained, cracked, shrieked. The girl gasped. Courage doesn't block fear. It chooses despite it. She spread her fingers, amber light exploded. The spiral froze. The pale children shrieked, ice shattering off their skin. For the first time they looked afraid. If you felt the floor crack under this moment, tap like now. Your support keeps courage burning in this freezing forest. Wind howled through broken boards. The lost litter stepped back, whispering, "Courage is a lock, but locks can break." They vanished into spiraling snow, leaving silence. Too much silence. The spiral still glowed faintly, waiting. Part 4. Choir of the Frozen. The silence after the lost litter vanished wasn't peace. It was vacuum, the kind that pulls sound out of lungs and memory out of bone. Snow drifted inward through the shattered doorway, curling into neat spirals across the floorboards, tiny signatures of something watching. The cabin's rafters groaned deep and low like a throat clearing beneath the earth. The pups huddled tighter. Their glow flickered not in fear, but in confusion. They could feel something older than them, something hungry. The girl wiped amber frost from her eyes, voice trembling. The choir wants more than fear. I swallowed. What do they want? Her pupils vibrated scrolling symbols I couldn't read. Memory. The father Bigfoot snarled teeth, flashing muscles coiling. Memory was sacred to their kind. Memory was ancestry. A new sound broke through the walls, not pounding, not whispers, harmonics, dozens of layered voices humming from the tree line. High, low, warm, hollow. It shook dust loose from the ceiling like snowfall inside a dream. The pups whimpered, clutching their heads, ears folding, eyes squeezed shut. The mother wrapped them under her fur, shaking. The girl gasped. The choir of the frozen. They're singing the old doors open. My lantern dimmed to a weak red ember light, afraid to be bright. I stepped toward the doorway, shovel raised. Outside, figures emerged from the blizzard. Not children this time. Tall silhouettes, limbs swaying in the wind, torsos made of ice sheet ribs, organs, pulsing amber like trapped lanterns. Their faces were smooth like melted wax, frozen mid-scream. Mouths stitched shut with frost. They sang without opening their mouths. The harmonics rippled through trees. Branches shook, needles falling like tears. Frost bloomed across bark, tracing spirals. The mountain answered. Brum. Deeper now. Slow. Thinking. The father slammed his fists against the doorframe again, roaring to break the melody. It didn't even wobble. The choir's voices climbed higher, 2 octaves above, hearing my vision, shimmered colors bending. Boards beneath my boots shifted spiral grooves, deepening beneath surface. The third door wasn't just a carving. It was growing. The choir stepped closer. Amber fog swirled around their ankles, absorbing fear, recycling it into song. Their harmonics lifted snow in vertical sheets like curtains rising in a theater. Behind me, the human girl fell to her knees, crying. Their erasing memories, I snapped toward her. What memories? She trembled. Yours. Mine. Theirs. A cold dread tightened around my spine. If memory vanished, courage follows. Identity follows. Then fear rules. The mother Bigfoot shrieked, eyes wide. A memory ripped from her mind, visible in amber smoke. Little footprints dancing in the snow. A sibling's laughter echoing through woods. Baby fur glowing amber white. Gone. Tears rolled. The pups cried. Fear sharpening. Their glow brightened dangerously. The spiral rotated half its final turn. I slammed the shovel into the floor. Clang. The harmonics wavered. The father charged through the door, fur-bristling amber veins lighting his chest. A choir member raised a hand. Voiceless singing intensified. He froze mid-stride. Eyes bulged. The choir was locking his mind. The mother lurched claws, carving frost. Two choir silhouettes hummed at her. Her legs buckled. I grabbed the pups, pressing them to my chest. Their glow pressed back against the harmonics. Amber versus amber. Memory versus memory. The song faltered. Just slightly. Music broke. The girl lifted both hands, eyes glowing white. "Counterpoint," she whispered. Her voice rose a note of pain, not fear. Reality bent. The choir recoiled, ice ribs cracking in disharmony. The spiral on the floor paused. The father gasped, memories slamming back into his skull. His rage ignited. He roared a sound that shattered frost from bark 50 yards away. The choir stumbled. The spiral's glow flickered. Then the choir sang lower, deeper, bone rattling. The cabin shook. Floor split. The final notch clicked. Car Nike not open, but primed. If any pup touched the grooves now, the door would breathe. Snow evaporated in amber heat. The choir raised their hands in perfect unison. Their harmonics curved toward the pups like invisible talons. The girl screamed. "They're going to drag their memories into the door." I lunged. Part 5. The Heart That Remembers. I dove forward, throwing my arms around all three pups just as the choir's harmonics swooped, amber ribbons rippling toward their skulls. The world pitched sideways, colors, bending edges blurring. My memories flashed like photographs tossed into fire. My father's voice faint through winter wind. Laughter by a melting river when I was barely tall enough to hold a fishing pole. The first night the forest called my name. Flashes, burning, going. No, no. I slammed the shovel into the wooden floor. Sparks flared. The spiral's glow dimmed, shuddering as if losing breath. The choir faltered, melody cracking. The father Bigfoot roared, voice shaking the rafters. He slammed his fists down, earth splitting. Shock waves rippled out, snow lifting, frost shattering. The choir staggered, harmonics warping into shrieks. The mother swung her arms wide, shielding the pups. Tears wet her fur, amber droplets glowing faintly. The girl pressed her palms against her temples, screaming. Memory is not weakness. Her voice fractured, amber symbols spiraling from her mouth like fireflies. The pups pressed their paws to my heart. My pulse slowed, breath steadied, and something older spoke through them. Remember for us. Vision sharpened. The cabin's walls peeled away like curtains unveiling truth. I saw it. Bigfoot weren't guarding these doors out of fear. They were guarding us. The choir's harmonics curved again, their humming drilling into marrow, searching for cracks. The father stomped, amber light exploding around his feet. The mother gathered the pups, pressing foreheads together. For one heartbeat, all of them glowed the same shade of gold. The spiral froze. The choir recoiled, voices faltering. Amber dust rained from their ribs like dying stars. The girl stood, eyes glowing pure white, and spoke ancient words her mouth was never meant to shape. Courage carves the first lock. Memory carves the last. Her voice cracked, tears streaking frost across her cheeks. The spiral shattered. Cringe amber shards burst outward, dissolving in snow. The choir shrieked, voices splintering, their forms unraveling into ribbons of amber fog that whipped backward into the blizzard. They disappeared like breath in winter. Silence slammed down heavy as snowfall on a roof. The father collapsed to one knee, chest heaving. The mother hugged all three pups, sobbing silently, fur trembling. I wiped frost from my eyelids, my memories safe. Theirs too. The girl fell into my arms, trembling. They wanted everything we were, every memory that made us. I hugged her tighter. You're not alone. She shivered. It's not over. The snow outside bent inward again, forming a spiral pattern far larger than before. Not glowing, not humming, waiting. The pups' glow faded to soft amber. They were exhausted, but breathing, warm, alive. The father placed a massive hand on my shoulder, eyes burning with gratitude and fear. Behind him, the mother lifted her head, ears twitching. A distant sound rolled down from deeper in the forest. Broom. Slow, heavy, but not angry. Curious. The girl looked to the horizon, pupils wide. A fourth door just opened. far from the mountain, deep in the pines. A fourth, my knees nearly buckled. The pups pressed their foreheads to mine, tiny paws on my cheeks. "We remember you," they whispered, voices layered with ancient warmth. The father nodded solemnly. The mother bowed her head. The wind shifted, and the snow outside formed a path, not a spiral leading deeper into the forest, not pulling, inviting. The girl pointed with a trembling hand. "They want us to see who's waking next." The father hoisted 2 pups onto his shoulders. The mother lifted the third. I slung my pack shovel and hand lantern, swinging like a heartbeat. As we stepped outside, Frost wrote words across the doorframe. "Memory is the heart of courage." The path gleamed faint amber beneath the moon. We walked into the dark, together. If this chapter carved something into your chest, tap subscribe and stay on the trail. And tell me, would you follow a 4th door into the trees? If the forest whispered your name. As the trees closed behind us, a new sound drifted on the wind, children singing from inside the pines. And the moonlight bent into a 5th spiral,